Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurates 32nd International Conference of Agricultural Economists. Says India is a food surplus country working to provide solutions for global food security. Vice President Kamala Harris formally secures Democratic presidential nomination for upcoming US election 2024. United States, to boost its military presence in West Asia, will deploy additional jets and Navy warships after threats from Iran and its allies Hamas and Hezbollah. Indian shooter Manu Bhakar misses out on a historic third medal at Paris Olympics, finishes fourth in 25-meter pistol final. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi praised India's food security system during his address at 32nd edition of International Conference of Agricultural Economists in New Delhi on Saturday. Exploring the issues and solutions in the domain of sustainable agri-systems, the conference aimed at tackling the pressing need for sustainable agriculture in the face of global challenges such as climate change.
आज भारत एक फूड सरप्लस देश है। आज भारत दूध, दाल और मसालों का सबसे बड़ा प्रोड्यूसर है। भारत फूड ग्रेन, फ्रूट्स, वेजिटेबल, कॉटन, शुगर, टी, फ्रेम्ड फिश, इनका दूसरा सबसे बड़ा प्रोड्यूसर है। एक वो समय था जब भारत की फूड सिक्योरिटी दुनिया की चिंता का विषय था। एक आज का समय है जब भारत ग्लोबल फूड सिक्योरिटी, ग्लोबल न्यूट्रिशन सिक्योरिटी, इसके सॉल्यूशन देने में जुटा है।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi also reiterated that the Indian government is working towards developing a complete ecosystem to support our farmers.
इस साल के बजट में भी बहुत बड़ा फोकस सस्टेनेबल फार्मिंग और क्लाइमेट रेजिलिएंट फार्मिंग पर है। हम अपने किसानों को सपोर्ट करने के लिए एक पूरा इकोसिस्टम डेवलप कर रहे हैं। भारत का बहुत जोर क्लाइमेट रेजिलिएंट क्रॉप से जुड़ी रिसर्च एंड डेवलपमेंट पर है। बीते 10 सालों में हमने करीब 1900 नई क्लाइमेट रेजिलिएंट वैरायटी अपने किसानों को दी है। इसका लाभ भारत के किसानों को भी मिल रहा है।
All right, an update on Wayanad landslides now. Official death toll touches 215 as search operations progress in the landslide affected areas. Meanwhile, search operations on Friday have resumed by 7 in the morning. More radar equipment and operators are being brought to the rescue area by Indian Army at the request of Kerala government. Immediate survivors of tragedy are staying in 17 camps, which houses almost 2,600 people. Across the district, 91 relief camps have been opened where around 10,000 people are staying. At the same time, rescue operations have moved into next stage, deploying more manpower, machinery and sophisticated sensors to locate those trapped in the soil and debris. Amid the challenges, the Indian Navy continues its rescue and relief operations in the landslide-affected areas of Wayanad district. To bolster these efforts, additional personnel, supplies and resources have been mobilized from INS Zamorin as Himala. Currently, 78 naval personnel are engaged in the ongoing rescue operations. A medical post has been established at Churamala to provide assistance to the injured. On Friday, an Indian Navy advanced light helicopter from INS Garud airlifted 12 state police personnel and rescue equipment to areas that were inaccessible by road. The situation in Indian state of Jharkhand is worsening due to continuous rain. Flood-like situation has arisen at many places. Incessant rain led to a surge in water levels of Harmu and Swan Rekha rivers. National Disaster Response Force team have been deployed for rescue operations as rainwater has entered more than 100 houses in Kadru, Hindpiri and Dipatoli areas of Ranchi. The weather department has issued a yellow alert for very heavy rainfall and thunderstorms on Saturday for 7 districts of Jharkhand. Following the alert, the state government asked all deputy commissioners to take precautions and has closed all schools up to class 12. Indian Army, in close coordination with state rescue team and civil administration, is engaged in rescue operation in cloud-burst hit areas in North India's Himachal Pradesh. Additional teams and resources are mobilized and deployed for the search and rescue in the affected areas. NDRF and SDRF teams are coordinating the rescue of those who were stranded. Medical assistance is being provided to the affected villagers. The cloud-burst was reported on the intervening night of July 31st and August 1st. Restoration works are underway in Rampur, where the cloud burst and following flash floods damaged a road that connected Rampur and Samej regions. Rescue and relief operations are underway in Uttarakhand's Kedarnath following Wednesday's heavy rainfall, which triggered landslides and severely damaged the walkway and left many people stranded. Superintendent of Police in Rudraprayag, Dr. Vishakha Ashok Badhane, reported that many individuals who were stranded have now reconnected with their families and most have safely returned home. Meanwhile, on Saturday, Uttarakhand's Chief Minister Pushkar Singh Dhami conducted a virtual review meeting with the District Magistrate and Senior Superintendent of Police of Rudraprayag. During the session, he assessed the ongoing disaster relief and rescue efforts and issued essential directives to ensure the operations' continued effectiveness and success. Incessant rains have brought daily life to a standstill in various parts of Maharashtra. In Sangli district of the state, heavy rains and discharge of water in the Koyna and Vana dam areas have increased the water level of Krishna river, causing the flood situation to continue. In Kolhapur district, the rains have picked up again in the dam area. As the 3 automatic gates of Randhagari dam are open, the level of Panchganga river has started to rise again. And in Pune, the discharge from Khadakwasla dam into Muta river basin has increased to over 21,000 cusecs this morning. The special LoAdalat or Special People's Court Week, which began in the Supreme Court on 29th of July to reduce the number of pending cases in court, has concluded today. For the first time, People's Court was held in Supreme Court to settle such civil cases in which both the parties agreed to end the case by mutual consent. In the program organized on this occasion, India's Law Minister Arjun Ram Meghwal said that the spirit of resolution through mediation has been in our culture. Chief Justice of India D.Y. Chandrachud said that this LoAdalat was made possible due to the efforts of everyone from the District Legal Services Authority to Supreme Court, in which more than 1,000 cases were settled by mutual consent. Indian Air Force Wing Commander Subhanshu Shukla has been selected as the prime astronaut for the upcoming Indo-US mission to the International Space Station. A National Mission Assignment Board has recommended 2 Gaganyatris as prime and backup mission pilot for this mission. These include Group Captain Subhanshu Shukla as prime Gaganyatri and Group Captain Prasar Balakrishnan Nair as backup. The assigned crew members will be finally approved to fly the International Space Station by Multilateral Crew Operations Panel. The recommended Gaganyatris will commence their training for the mission from the first week of August. In a significant milestone, the Indian Coast Guard successfully conducted its maiden night landing of the ICG Dornier aircraft at Agatti Airport in the Lakshadweep Islands on Friday. This successful operation marks a remarkable enhancement in Indian Coast Guard's operational capabilities. The ability to conduct night landings will provide critical support to local populace during natural disasters, medical evacuations and other emergencies, even during the darkest hours. Located approximately 460 kilometers west of southern India's Kochi in the Arabian Sea, Agatti features the only airstrip in the Union Territory of Lakshadweep. This achievement ensures the round-the-clock presence of ICG in the Lakshadweep archipelago, thereby strengthening the region's overall safety and security. The 21 Indian fishermen whose release was secured by the Indian High Commission in Colombo arrived at Chennai Airport in South Indian state of Tamil Nadu on Saturday morning. On Thursday, the Indian High Commission in Sri Lanka and the Consulate General in Jaffna secured the release of 20 fishermen from Sri Lanka. The Indian Consul General, Sai Murali, ascertained the well-being of fishermen. He also assured them of all possible support. The consulate officials also facilitated phone calls to their families in India to ensure their welfare. The matter pertains to a collision between Sri Lankan naval vessel and an Indian fishing boat 5 nautical miles north of Kachathivu Island on Thursday. And let's take a look at other stories making news today. The Adi Thirukalyanam celebrations commenced with the hoisting of holy flag at the famous Sri Ramanatha Swami temple. The highlight of the festival is the marriage between Lord Ramanatha Swami and goddess Parvatavardhini Ammal. This festival draws hundreds of devotees from across the world. The entire festival lasts for 17 days. The 3-day-long theatre festival Paga, organized by Womed, is concluded with good response from the audience at Tagore Hall, Srinagar. The festival showed outstanding performances that captivated viewers and set the stage for a week-long celebration of Kashmiri theatre, particularly folk theatre, and its rich cultural history. Lieutenant General VPS Kaushik has assumed the appointment of the Adjutant General of Indian Army. Prior to assuming the key appointment, VPS Kaushik was serving as the General Officer commanding in the Trishakti Corps. And still to come on this edition of DD India Live. The US military to deploy additional fighter jets and Navy warships to West Asia. US Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump agrees to a news channel to debate with Democratic US Vice President Kamala Harris on September 4th. Violence in Sunderland, but why? Stay tuned, we'll give you all the updates related to it.
The judgment, which came with a majority, has ruled that states in the country have the power to subclassify scheduled castes and scheduled tribes.
This is about poverty, this is about backwardness and empowering the people who are not so empowered. And the leaders are not very considerate about them, then the new leadership will come out from the people who are deprived, is still not getting benefit.
Every state has different castes and different tribes. So central has a state, however the creamy layer and non-creamy layer will differ from state to state.
You're watching DD India Live. I am Siddharth Bharadwaj. US Vice President Kamala Harris has secured enough support to officially become the Democratic Party's presidential nominee. It makes Harris the first black woman and first Indian American to lead a major party into a general election. Nick Harper sends this report from Washington.
This virtual roll call was a chance for delegates who'd previously been pledged to Joe Biden to show their support to Kamala Harris, the new candidate for the Democratic Party, of course, since Joe Biden dropped out less than 2 weeks ago, saying he was not seeking re-election. This virtual roll call began on Thursday morning. It was meant to run all the way until Monday evening, and yet by the middle of Friday afternoon, it was clear that Harris had already secured enough support to officially become the nominee for the Democratic Party. A very quick period of time, much quicker than expected. The Democratic Party chairperson saying saying about that it was simply outstanding. Harris herself says that she is honoured to become the nominee for the President of the United States. Now, normally this would happen in person at the National Convention, a 4-day event that's taking place in Chicago in a few weeks' time, but the Democrats decided to hold this early and to do it in a virtual way. There were no challengers to Ms. Harris, so it was really considered inevitable that she would become a nominee, but of course fascinating that she did so quickly, and I think that perhaps shows the enthusiasm we've seen in the party since she said that she would be taking up that possibility of becoming the nominee after Joe Biden dropped out. She also makes history by becoming the nominee for the Democratic Party, becoming the first female of colour to top a ticket, but also the first Indian American to top a ticket as well. She could make history as well when we get to November the 5th, when the election takes place. She could become the first female president if she wins that election. All of this off the back of an incredible fundraising haul that she managed to bring in during the course of July, getting $310 million. That sets a record for grassroots funding in presidential history. It's also double the amount that her rival, Donald Trump, managed to pull in from supporters during the same month. Nick Harper in Washington, reporting for DD India.
And after her nomination, US Vice President Kamala Harris posted on X and said that I'm honored to be the Democratic nominee for President of the United States. I will officially accept the nomination next week. This campaign is about people coming together, fueled by a love of country, to fight the best of who we are. US Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump has agreed with Fox News to debate with Democratic US Vice President Kamala Harris on September 4. Trump, in a post on social media platform Truth Social, has informed it. On the post, Trump said, as I quote, "If for any reason Kamala is unwilling or unable to debate on that date, I have agreed with Fox to do a major town hall on the same September 4th evening," unquote. Well, a new acting chief of the U.S. Secret Service said that local police in Pennsylvania should not be held responsible for security failures leading up to the assassination attempt on Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump last month that led to the first shooting of a U.S. president or major party candidate in more than 4 decades was glaring security lapse that led last week to former Secret Service director's resignation under bipartisan congressional pressure.
In no way should any state or local agency supporting us in Butler on July 13th be held responsible for a Secret Service failure. I'm focused on ensuring that the full resources of the Secret Service are utilized to safeguard our protectees, and I've implemented and will continue to implement changes to ensure that that happens.
And U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has revoked a plea that was agreed upon earlier this week with Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the man accused of masterminding the 9/11 attacks, and 2 of his accomplices, according to a memorandum signed by Austin on Friday. The Pentagon had said on Wednesday the plea deals had been entered into, but did not elaborate on details. A U.S. official said that they almost certainly involved guilty pleas in exchange for taking the death penalty off the table. In the latest, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has removed the official who facilitated the plea deal for Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, saying the responsibility for the decision should rest with him given its significance. The deal would have removed the possibility of the death penalty. And the U.S. military to deploy additional fighter jets and Navy warships to the West Asia as Washington seeks to bolster defenses following threats from Iran and its allies Hamas and Hezbollah. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin had approved sending additional Navy cruisers and destroyers to West Asia and Europe. The authorities have also confirmed to send additional squadron of fighter jets to West Asia. The U.S. is bracing for Iran to make good on its vow to respond to the killing of Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh 2 days ago in Tehran. Terror group Hezbollah said that airstrike in southern Beirut on Tuesday crossed all of those red lines and effectively violated the unwritten rules of engagement. Hezbollah has vowed to respond over killing of its leader. DD India's Trent Murray has more updates from Beirut.
Well, we know since October of last year, the Lebanon-based Hezbollah and Israel have been trading missiles and rockets, but that fighting was largely concentrated to the south of Lebanon and the north of Israel. Hezbollah is saying that that airstrike here in southern Beirut on Tuesday crossed all of those red lines and effectively violated the unwritten rules of engagement, and they are now vowing to respond. It is the rhetoric from them that has got many people in this city of 2.5 million people nervously waiting and watching this weekend to see what that response may be. We know that many foreign governments, including India's, have been warning their foreign nationals to leave Lebanon while they still can, while there are still commercial flights available. But the trouble is those commercial flights are becoming fewer and fewer by the hour as airlines line up to cancel their services because of safety concerns. We have heard some reports today suggesting that Hezbollah has begun moving its top leadership out of southern Beirut and into other parts of the country, also moving military equipment. The trend lines would certainly suggest that the tensions are being ratcheted up, and it is for that reason that diplomats around the world are working the phone hour by hour, trying to de-escalate this situation, trying to bring down the temperature to avoid a full-scale, all-out war right here in West Asia. Trent Murray for DD India, Beirut.
Israel and Hamas recently resumed tentative indirect talks to try to reach a ceasefire. An Israeli delegation is set to travel to Cairo in the coming days for negotiations to reach a Gaza ceasefire and hostage release deal, as per Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office. The negotiating team for a hostage deal will depart for Cairo on Saturday night or on Sunday. Protesters started fires in Sunderland as violence following Monday's killing of 3 children in northwest England spread to another northern city. The protesters show rage and threw stones at police in riot before overturning vehicles and setting a car next to a police office, which made difficult for the authorities as British police were out in force across the country and mosques were tightening security. And now to all the updates from the Paris Olympics. Indian shooter Manu Bhakar missed out on a medal after finishing 4th in the women's 25-meter pistol final at the Paris Olympics 2024. Manu lost the 4th place elimination playoff to miss out on what would have been her 3rd medal of the ongoing Olympics in French capital. But Manu Bhakar has already edged a place in Olympic history, clinching 2 bronze. At the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, her journey was marred by disappointment. Competing in 2 events, she failed to reach the finals in both. Critics doubted her and young shooter faced immense scrutiny. But she didn't give up. Fast forward to Paris 2024 and Manu's story took a dramatic turn. This time she entered 3 events and made it to the finals in each one. Her determination paid off. She clinched 2 medals, making her the first athlete in independent India to win 2 medals in single edition of the Olympic Games. All right, DD India correspondent Narayan Singh is joining me from Paris. Hello, Narayan. First of all, it could have been a 3rd medal for Manu Bhakar, but it's okay. She played really well as compared to how she played in Tokyo Olympics 2020. Her game is absolutely brilliant. She could have beaten the 3rd one, but she already got 2 in her kitty, which itself is a big achievement. How do you analyze her performance, Narayan?
Good afternoon, Siddharth. Already, as you mentioned, that she already won 2 medals in itself is a big achievement.
Yeah.
First Indian in the independent India to win 2 medals in Olympics. It's in itself a big event, but we can say that her journey is nothing short of or like a roller coaster ride. And we saw in the Tokyo a lot of expectations were there from Manu Bhakar, and not only from herself but from more than 1 billion people had expectation during the Tokyo Games, but it was not to the mark and she failed to even qualify for the final events there. But we can say that it was a setback, but the way she made a comeback, it's a big thing. And now in the Paris game, she is winning 2 medals into different events and creating history. It shows the temperament of the Manu Bhakar as a shooter, but not only we can say that and but it also about her composure and handling the pressure, what she exactly did here. Today also she missed the medal by a whisker, but we are hoping that she could have done better.
But it's okay, Narayan, we have to agree that Manu Bhakar exactly showed that this is how you make a comeback. Thank you so much, Narayan, for that analysis. And that's all for this edition of DD India Live. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.